and Scott Darling, but say we will remember without question.
Let's see who's on it in front. Darling, what a save! Magnificent! Oh, a second save by Scott Darling! Breakaway chance. Anthony Duclair is in. Darling stands his ground.
Flexible effort.
For the third time in 6 years, the Blackhawks are Stanley Cup champions.
Fashion's a huge Darling fan.
I heard I had one fan. I appreciate that. Tell her thanks.
Now, this is a chat that I've been waiting to have for 8 years or so with a mate here, Scott Darling. We're over in Chicago here in his man cave. Scott, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming. I missed you, man. It's been, 5 years since I've seen you.
5 long years.
Yeah, I've been just waiting for this the whole time.
A lot's happened since, mate. A lot has
happened.
Off, what do you call it? It's not a field. Off rink, on rink.
It's called an ice arena, like ice rink.
But it's a rink.
Yeah, it's a rink.
Yeah. So a lot has happened. So I'm looking forward to delving into this. And majority of our audience is in Australia, so they will not know a heap about hockey and the NHL. So I'm looking forward to your insight on that.
I'll be happy to. But we got to talk about how we met.
All right, how did we meet?
So I did a charity hockey tour in Australia, and we were playing in Adelaide, and you guys all came. You were playing for the Crows at the time. Came and you were like, "Oi, you're the one from Chicago,"
Hang on, you came to the game the night before.
Yeah, but you were like, I'm going to go visit Chicago, and like 6 months later, I totally forgot. I said you could come stay with me and hang out, and I got a DM from you. No heads up. I'm like, oh shit. I said this. I would take care of this guy when he got here. And since then we've been mates.
Hang on. You said, I didn't stay with you though. I was staying somewhere else with your family friends. It's not like I rocked up at your house with a
But you're like,
suitcase.
what's your address? I was like, oh shit. But we've been good friends ever since, but we haven't seen each other in a while.
Oh, it's been too long. But yeah, let's clarify that. I did not rock up here with a suitcase. No, I didn't. I did not.
All right.
No, I did not. Mate, tell us how this crazy hockey journey of yours started and what the process is in America here.
So in America, I started playing goalie when I was 3 years old. Somehow they found out I was good. And
At 3?
At 5. And so I started, I played, and my dad left the military because we were in Alabama and there's no hockey in the South really. And so moved back to Illinois. That's where my family's from, and played here for a little bit. Then I don't want to sound vain, but I got too good for Illinois hockey. And so I went and played in Canada in 8th grade. I haven't lived at home since 7th grade.
That's early.
I left and went and played in Canada. And then what you do is it's called junior hockey. So I went, played junior hockey in Iowa, 2 different places in Iowa, then went to New York, played junior hockey there, and that's where I got recruited. So I was on the East Coast, and I got drafted, by the Phoenix Coyotes, now former Arizona Coyotes. Now they're the Utah HC.
Oh, right, okay.
They switched, their franchise moved, so there's no team in Arizona anymore. But I got drafted by them, and then went and played in hockey. You take a year off before you go to college. So when I was 19, I played in Indianapolis, junior hockey still. And then I went to college as a 19-year-old freshman. I went to University of Maine, which at the time was the best hockey school in the country. They're notorious for developing goaltenders. So 7 goalies in a row. I almost ruined this. 7 goalies in a row made it to the NHL. And so when you get drafted, the team owns your rights for 4 years. And so after my sophomore year, I signed pro. I left school and then started this wild journey. I was also kind of a degenerate, so my first pro team was the Las Vegas Wranglers. Worst place to put a kid that has gotten in trouble with, drinking and drugs and, you name it. And so I'm in Las Vegas. That's double A. That's how I consider it. If you guys know baseball, it's single A, double A, triple A. Started at double A. Didn't work out because I had too much fun in Vegas.
So how many times do you need to get called up from that spot to then actually play in the NHL?
So from that spot, you need 3 call-ups.
Right.
So you have to go to 2 to AAA and then the league. But so I got cut from my team, went down to single A, and just started this wild journey. Like I just like got my shit together and sorry, can I swear?
You're right. No, don't. You're good.
Got my shit together and just like worked my ass off. And I'm the only person who's ever went from single A to the NHL.
Really?
No one's ever done that. And so I went down, but the way I did it was my agent, I love him. Like he's the man. I would watch every box score from every team in the leagues above me. And if a goalie didn't finish the game, it means he got hurt. I'd be like, Matt, call this team. Call them. So he'd be the first one to call them. And so I'd get called up. That's why I played for like 19 teams, because I'd get called up, maybe play 2 games, get sent right back down when the goalie got better. And I just like chipped away. And then after 4 years of doing that, I was the best goalie in AAA, like, you know, best stats in the league. And I could have signed with any team like in the league. And one day I got a call from the Blackhawks. And I'm from Chicago. I'm a huge Blackhawks fan.
Oh, really?
And so I got the call. And I told my agent, like, I don't give a shit about the money. Like, I'm signing with the Blackhawks. Like, because I could have signed with Boston, Dallas, San Jose, like you name it. Called my dad. I go, Dad, pull over. Because he was driving. I go, I just fucking signed with the Chicago Blackhawks. You know, like it was like after like the road I took, it was like the coolest thing ever. And I signed with the Blackhawks, coming in as their 4th-string goalie. So I would be the backup in AAA. And like just played well. And there was one time we were playing in Toronto and I was on the AAA team. And after the game, the coaches, they were like, one of you's going up, like me and the other guy. So don't throw your like gitch, that's what we call it, like your like laundry in the thing, because one of you's leaving. And the other goalie had played 14 years in the NHL already. And so I was like, I just threw my stuff in the laundry. And I was like, they're calling up him, you know. And so 2 seconds later, they're like, and I was like, did I just jump the shark? Like, what? So they put me on a plane right away. And like, you're in Canada, right? They love hockey. They escorted me through the airport in Toronto.
Yeah.
Because I had to get to the game that night to go sit on the bench.
Yeah.
That's where I thrive,
Yeah,
sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
But so that was my first call up. And like, I don't know, I went back down and played a little bit. And then the goalie, Corey Crawford, the main starter, amazing goalie, he got hurt. And I got called up again. And the rest is history, man. So that's that.
That's crazy. So with all this, from someone who's got themselves in a bit of trouble, it took some balls and some, extreme motivation to then, from looking at the box scores to calling your agent. What are the dynamics looking like? So how many different teams was it?
19.
19 in the minors?
Yeah.
Like, what's your mindset going through that when you're traveling back and forth? Like, obviously you need to maintain a great self-belief and confidence instilled within yourself to get after it.
Well, like when I was 21, like I said, I was messing around. Like I was an idiot. But I had an epiphany one day that like, I know I'm capable of, you know, what I accomplished eventually, but I just like turned that switch on and like, that was horse blinders, just like, that's it, hockey. Like, no, like nothing else, like just go and work, you know, get in good shape and just playing the best I can, I knew I was capable of being, I mean, at one point I was the best goalie in the world. So technically.
At what age?
In 2017. Technically, I'm not saying I was the best goalie in the world, but if you have the best stats in the NHL, you're technically the best goalie in the NHL.
And you had that?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good achievement.
Pretty good.
So what did it feel like playing for the hometown where you grew up? You obviously touched about getting drafted there, but then being immersed in the city where you grew up and then going to United Center. Is that where they're playing at?
Pardon?
Is that where the
United Center?
Yeah, yes. And then driving there and.
Man, it was something. Like I was a fan of the guys. It was hard for me to like get over it when I walked in the locker room, you know, because I saw myself as like a shitty beer league goalie, basically, you know. And all of a sudden I'm on the Blackhawks with guys that I worship, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and like the goalie, Corey Crawford. But they were great, like bringing me in, treating me as like I believe, like deserved to be there. But it was surreal. It was like Disney shit, dude. Like, because I'm literally the only kid from Chicago who's ever won a major championship with any Chicago sports team. Any sport. Any sport.
That's unbelievable.
And yeah, it's like I said, Disney shit, dude. Like I can't believe I got to do that, and it was such a great ride. Like, but I had to get over like the fanboying stuff a little bit at the start. But I did, and like we had great memories. We're all great friends still, and it was surreal.
With getting drafted to the Coyotes, what pick did you get drafted?
I think I was 163rd.
Is that high? Is that low?
It's low. It's like 6th round.
So why weren't you just able to play there? Like, why did you bounce around, or was that prior?
Well, because what you do is, well, they didn't sign me because I was an idiot.
Okay, they've just got your rights.
They got my rights. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you play juniors in Canada,
yep,
they have your rights for 2 years, because like in Canada, you get paid to play juniors when you're like 16, 17. And if you do that, you can't go to college, like play university hockey. But if you go to college, they have 4 years. But I went there after my sophomore year, which is the 2nd year of uni. But like I said, I wasn't ready, and they knew. And so they just sent me to their affiliate, the Las Vegas team. And, you know, I kind of, like I said, when I was 21, I was a moron. So, like the first NHL contract I got was with the Blackhawks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned Corey Crawford. He's considered one of the greatest goalies to ever play.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
He's unbelievable.
What did you learn from him? So obviously you spent a bit of time behind him. What did you learn from him? And then also being a backup, how do you get better if you're not playing in the minors and you're actually sitting there most weeks picking splinters out of your bone?
So what I learned from him is like he's so calm. And me, I'm a nut job. Like so backup goalies, like you probably don't get to play again for like 2 weeks. If you have a bad game, like I wouldn't sleep for 2 weeks, like until I could like, you know, make up for like having a bad game, you know. But he was so calm. He could have a, you know, a shitty game and just let it go.
Well, it's probably because he's playing tomorrow, right?
Yeah. And so he's like, he just let it go. The thing about like, I learned, it took me a little while, is like separating work and life, you know. But for me at the start, I was all hockey. Like I had no life, you know what I mean? And so I learned a lot from him about, he's like, man, we got another game. Like, you know, just chill out. You know, he's like so like mellow, and he helped me. It took me like probably my first year in the NHL, and then I figured out I learned how to do it.
Mate, with your, so at the start there at the Blackhawks playing sporadically, but still on the roster, like the first time I was over, we caught up, let's say it was a Wednesday, Blackhawks had a game, let's say on the Friday, we went out for a few beers.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't you play in 2 days? Like, how does that work? You said, oh, I'm not in golf for like another like 4 or 5 games.
No, it's, I mean, most players, like it's okay to have like a few beers and then, you know, don't have a game, even have like 2 beers and play the next day, like you're fine. But like, there's nights like when the Cubs won the World Series, we all went out and watched, like, but we had honor code because we had a game at noon the next day.
Honor code is what?
Honor code is like, we're trusting each other to not go to Wrigley and party with everyone when the Cubs won. So we're all like at the sports bar, you know, having some drinks, but we had a game at noon the next day. So honor code. And we're all like, shit, we want to go to Wrigleyville because like the city's like
pumping.
City is like burning down. And we're like, everyone's going home, you know.
What happens if honor code is broken? Because that happens in the AFL all the time. Guys stuff up.
I don't know. Hockey players are good boys. Like we respect and trust each other. Like we have a good like nature about us. Like I don't know why, but like hockey guys are just good dudes. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I haven't met too many guys that I didn't like in hockey.
So how many years into your Chicago tenure did the Stanley Cup year happen? For those at home, Stanley Cup's the championship.
First year.
Your first one?
Yeah, so I was like brand new. I got called up in February. I'd only played 14 games in the NHL. And then I got thrusted into in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like the first round, I got thrusted into it because my starter, like he was just not feeling it. So they put me in. And that's like my claim to fame in Chicago is like I set like a bunch of NHL records with like how I played in that series. And then Corey took the reins back. I was like, now I can relax.
You mentioned this the other day, so I didn't ask the question. He wasn't injured. You say he wasn't feeling it.
He just wasn't playing well.
Right, okay, right. Got his mojo back in the goals.
Yeah, so like the first game, what happened was we were down 3-0 at the end of the first period. And I'm like at the end of the bench, like looking at the coach, like, am I getting put in? You know, like I was like, nah, it's a playoff, it's different. Like, I don't know, it's my first year in the NHL. We go to the locker room, and our coach, Joe Quinville, he talks to us, he goes, Darryl, you're going in. That's what he said. I was like, and so I went to the bathroom, I threw up, everyone heard me. And I walked back out, they're like, Darryl's ready to go. And we ended up winning in double overtime. It's like the longest playoff release shutout ever. 42 saves. Like,
was that save that you showed us the other night?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bottom, stuck your bottom right out?
Yeah.
In the bottom
Yeah,
right.
that's
a
from
good
that
save.
game. And then so Corey went back in for game 2. We lost 6-1. And then they put me back in for game 3. The funniest part about that one is I was at a wedding with my, former partner, and we're sitting at a bar, after, like waiting to go to the reception, and no one knows that I played for the Blackhawks. It's like 30 people at the table, and I got a text from my goalie coach, Scott, you're starting tomorrow. And all of a sudden, my face went on every TV in the place, and all the guys were like, "What? Who the fuck is this guy?" Yeah, and I was like, I told her, I was like, Martha, I was like, I gotta go home. Someone can drive her home from Kalamazoo. That's up in Michigan. I was like, I gotta go. Get a good night's rest for game 3. But then I played the first series, and then Corey took over the reins, and we ended up winning the shit.
You win it all. Celebrations. Talk me through what you can and can't disclose. What's it like? This town loves its sport. Been starved of championships as well. The Cubs hadn't won yet.
It was a week I'll never forget. We'll put it that way. And it was cool because like the United Center, they were redoing our locker room the next day, so we broke it. Like we broke everything and just celebrated, went nuts. And then our friend who was Swedish, I forget the DJ's name, that was in town from Sweden, some big DJ, called him, and we went to this club and till 10 in the morning, and walked outside, and people follow. There's a cup tracker thing, so I wanted to go home, and so I peek out the door, and there's a million people outside the place, and so I waved a cop over. I was like, I want to go home. And so he drove me home. But we got to do the cool shit. We went on stage with Mumford & Sons, hung out with them. And I was standing in the back. I'm kind of like a guy who stands in the back. I'm a backup. And the bass player for Mumford & Sons, he's like, who the fuck are you guys? He had no idea.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, we just won the cup. I don't know. Yeah. But taking Wrigley Field and stuff. I'm a huge Cubs fan. And that week was awesome. Then everyone disperses after 5 or 6 days.
Righto. What happens after that? Are you guys still around the mark at the Blackhawks, or what? Do you teeter, or are you still in contention the next few years while you're there?
No, kind of because it's called a dynasty. So that was the 3rd time they'd won. I'd only been on the team for that one, but you get paid. If you win, you get paid. So the salary cap in hockey, I think it's up to 86 million now. But me, I wanted to stay in Chicago, but you got to get your money. So they couldn't afford what I was worth, and so I had to get traded to Carolina, and they paid me my money.
So with that, were you a free agent? Is that how it works, or is it?
I was going to be, but they traded me there before I became a free agent.
Sign and trade, or do you kind of get traded then sign a contract once you're traded?
Traded then sign a contract. I could have waited and signed with another team, but I didn't like playing Carolina, but when you see that kind of money put in front of you,
yeah,
I'm I'll play it.
What was that? Is that public? Is it public?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it?
$16.6 million.
Over how long?
4 years.
That's all right.
So I was I'll fucking play in Antarctica for that much money, dude. Like,
Oh, for sure. Mate, the stuff I do for that money. Playing hockey
Hey,
doesn't
see this
doesn't
house,
sound-
dude?
Yeah. Oh, that
Thanks,
doesn't-
Canes.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound too bad. I do a lot of stuff for that.
I do terrible shit for that.
So talk us through your time at the Canes. I was lucky enough to come visit before a hurricane came
Yeah.
through.
Hurricane Rory fucking.
Oh
rolled
yeah,
in.
that's right. No, I didn't get time to be Hurricane Rory, but ended up making my way back here. But talk me through your time at the Canes. It didn't go to plan.
No. So what happened was I've been working so hard for so long. Signed the contract. I let my foot off the gas. Just showed up. Didn't train that summer. I single. Just doing that.
Yeah, living your life.
And I showed up to camp out of shape, not ready for the season, and it just like a snowball, like started slow and just terrible year. And then I stayed in Raleigh that summer and worked out like 3 a days, got in the best shape of my life. Didn't drink, didn't do anything. I was so dialed for the second year. And the last game of preseason, I made this incredible save. But I tore my whole leg basically. And while I was on the shelf, they had to sign another goalie, and he played awesome. No hard feelings. I love Curtis. He's the man, but he took my job. And so they sent me down to Charlotte, which is their AAA team. But the best part about being sent down to the minors, in the NHL, you pay escrow. I don't know if you know what that is.
No, what's that?
So it's I don't really know how to explain it. But 13% of your contract goes to a fund. Basically, we were funding the Arizona Coyotes because they had no money. All the players are. But you don't have to pay that in the minors.
Yeah.
So I was making $5 million that year. And so little way through the season, they wanted to call me up. I was like, no, take the other kid. Fuck, I don't want to go back up.
Yeah.
I got an extra $1 million from playing for the AAA team. It's I'm good. I'm good here. Totally good. But then I got bought out, which means they buy out your contract. So I didn't play the last 2 years. Went and played in Europe and had a blast.
Do you get everything you're owed?
No, you get I think it's 67% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whilst also getting another salary from the Austrian
team you're playing. Yeah.
So it obviously didn't go to plan. You've torn your adductor. How do you think it would have gone? So it's obviously a long way to come back. We've seen a lot of people that sign the contract, doesn't go to plan, whatever, they rest on their laurels, it's kind of going to happen. I've got my money coming in, I know. Is there right now sitting here, you still play and you say you can play to a certain level, but is there a regret that year? Do you wish you approached it differently with your mindset that year that when you...
The first year I do. Yeah, I wish I would have paid more attention that summer. And honestly, just I owed it to the team, the guys on the team and stuff. But, that's the only regret I have. I didn't like playing Carolina, but I don't really have any regrets. My ride has been crazy. And so, like I said, no regrets, the whole thing. I've met so many great people, and, even in my comedy, I say, is anyone from out of town? There's not one city you can say in the US that I don't have 1 degree of separation from. And so I'm just so fortunate I got to play pro for 11 years. Yeah. So.
And then, so Hurricanes to Austria,
Mhm.
what's that like? Completely different scene, I'm assuming, from the American sports scene
Yeah.
over to Europe.
The annoying part is the ice is different in Europe. It's bigger, the rink.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
And so they're all wuss bags. They don't shoot. And as a goalie, so the first 2 games, I'm playing it like an NHL game. So I'm you know what a crease is? The blue paint.
Oh, yeah,
where the goalie stands.
Yeah.
The NHL, I'm 3 inches on top of the paint. Because the guys shoot, they don't just pass around because the ice is more narrow here.
Yeah.
In Europe, these fucking guys, I'm yelling to them, shoot the puck. I'm yelling while I'm in the net. And there's passing back and forth because they don't really hit over there or fight or anything like that. And so I learned because they're not good. It's not a good league. I went there for quality of life. But so I just backed up 2 feet in my crease. I just sat there and just watched them pass.
Yeah.
I'm all right, now he's gonna shoot, save, But it was fun. I mean, I loved playing over there. I would go back. Austria was awesome.
With the goal, do you say goalie, goalkeeper, goaltender? What do you say?
Goalie.
With the goalie skill set, so unique, like different to everyone else on the ice. What do you need to be good at?
Stopping pucks.
No shit. But like reflexes, what needs to be strong? Like, do you need to be flexibility?
Flexibility, reflexes, obviously. But the thing is, like, people don't know goalies are the best skaters on the ice. We're better skaters than anyone on the ice because we have a nuanced form of skating. Like, it's hard to explain. Like,
Turns,
pushing,
cuts.
cross, getting up, cutting back, coming back. You know, like, but like we can skate better than anyone on the ice. So that's the biggest thing for goalies. You have to be the best skater. When you're a kid, when you're training, it's the most boring thing to do is do skating drills. But that's the foundation for like, because I taught kids for like 10 years. I'm like, I know this sucks, but if you want to be a great goalie, do the boring skating drills because that's your foundation to make you be able to maneuver around and be in the right place at the right time for a shot. So
that's similar to what we get told in our competition. How many fights have you been in?
11.
What's the record?
11 now.
What's long arms. What's your go-to move?
Well, in hockey, when you fight someone, you have to grab. That's the biggest thing. You grab their shoulder and twist their jersey, so then they can't move their arm. So you can sit there and twist, and then they're hooped.
Yeah.
And then they try and punch you, and then they get tired, and you tune them up. That's how you do it.
And you mentioned the other day, how do you indicate with someone else on the ice that you want to fight and goalies? What's that? Jiggle your hands.
Just wiggle your gloves.
And then chuck them off?
And then if they go, and you hawk them, take your mask off, spin it to be a dick, and then go fucking
and then the two goalies meet in the middle.
Yeah, go kick their ass at center ice.
Oh, that's unbelievable. And then, so when did your career end? How old were you and where were you?
Oh, geez. I think I was 32. I came back from Europe, was at the Florida Panthers, but COVID happened. And so some teams didn't play, like the minor league teams. So Florida's team, their minor league team didn't play that year. So they had nowhere to send their goalies. So I came back here. I played for Chicago's minor league team. It's like 70 miles away. And I was driving from here there every day for practice. And at the end of the day, I was just
How long was that? Hour and a half?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And I was just like, you're paying me my gas money. Like, I'm good. Like, and my body kind of gave out on me. Like I said, I just got knee surgery. I need double hip replacement. Like, so I'm no regrets for my career. So I was just like, one day I was just like, I'm good. You know.
And then with your career finishing, you've obviously got the contracts, being paid well. It stops. Is there any angst, fear around what's next? You're a chilled guy. So it's like, well, you just like, I've been on a slog since I was 3 when I got recognized for talent. Am I just going to keep the feet up for a bit? Or were you like, what's next?
Well, I did. It's a huge issue with athletes, when you retire.
Sure.
Like, I had like a year where I didn't do anything and I thought I was kicking my feet up, but really I was like depressed and sad, and like COVID's going on, and my ex-wife was a nurse and worked in the hospital. So like I couldn't like leave the house. And so where we are, that's where I like basically lived for like a year. I was like, I don't know, like I'm young. I have a whole life to live. But I did that for like a year until I fell into comedy. So that's kind of what gets me out of bed in the morning now.
That year that you were here, obviously everyone went through it, but America was quite savage. Did you seek help? Like, did you know that it was depression at the time, or now being removed from it, you were like, that's what it was?
Well, I mean, I have been kind of depressed my entire life, but
yeah.
I've been in therapy for like 20 years, so
yeah.
I had someone to talk to.
Yeah.
But also going through like, obviously I'm divorced, so like going through a terrible relationship that didn't help, and but I had someone to talk to. But thank God that's over. You met her, goddamn. But yeah, I mean, I had someone to talk to, and it's not. I don't see it as a sign of weakness to like talk about how you're feeling. Like, you're sad. It's
For sure.
It's good to have that resource. So
exactly, it's a massive thing in Australia and big stigma around it now. And I feel like it's the stigma is not vanishing, but it's easier to talk about now, and guys think it. Well, there's a big saying going around Australia: "It ain't weak to speak." So
It's what?
it isn't, or ain't. It ain't weak to speak.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well, I think it's like so. Like I consider myself a masculine guy. Like I'm 6'6". I could beat you up probably. But like I'll tell you how I feel. I'll cry on your shoulder, man. Like, it's like I don't see it as a sign of weakness. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And then, mate, this is quite a crazy career transition. How does like I wouldn't have said you're a funny guy. I wouldn't have said you're a funny guy. Like you could talk that chair over there to sleep. So talk to how, why, when, where.
Okay, so fuck you. So my first date with my now fiance, I took her to Laugh Factory in Chicago. It's a big comedy club. And I was going to take a piss, and this guy who just got off stage, he noticed me from playing for the Blackhawks. And he's like, "You ever consider trying comedy?" I was like, "No, never. I would never try and do that." He goes, "Try it once." He's like, "If you don't like it, I'll never ask you to do it again." He's like, "Come open for me." So him and I went. I opened for him. I bombed, but I loved it. Like the adrenaline rush reminded me of the rush of stepping on the ice in the NHL, something I'd been missing that year when I was doing nothing. And so, I mean, since then, I mean, he opens for me now. So he hates me for that. But no, it's been super fun. Took classes, comedy writing classes, Second City, which is a big place in Chicago. And it's going good. I just really enjoy it. Like it doesn't pay that well, but I like it. So that's why I do it.
How do you hone your craft? You mentioned you went to a class. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah. So I went to a comedy writing class. Like I write nonstop, but I went to a comedy writing class. So like I have a joke about my dog being from Utah. I bit my ear off, but joke structure, like I used to say Gary's Mormon, he's from Utah. And just switching, like he's from Utah, he's Mormon, just switching that, like the joke hits way harder. It makes no sense to me. But just stuff like that, So I don't know. I'm getting pretty good. So I just headlined last night. First time on like the mezzanine outside of the place. First time that my name was up on the top. So
did you get a photo?
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, all right. We'll have to get that to chuck it on.
Yeah.
What's the goal with it? And like where is this cool? Like you're just happy touring around, or is it like Netflix special? What's the go? Where do you want to be?
I don't think I'm ever going to get to a Netflix special, but I also never thought I was going to get to the NHL. So we'll see. Right now I'm working, like I'm light years ahead of people who've been doing it for 2 years. So they hate me in Chicago. When I go to open mics to like try a new joke before I have a show, like I have jokes about the comics because they're all whiny little bitches. Only the good ones are not like intimidated by someone coming up, And so I'm like, I rip on the comics in the room, and because I don't give a fuck. Like I'm a darling off stage, on stage. Fuck you.
You see for the foreseeable future that it's comedy for you. You're happy here.
Yeah.
With your new fiance, Laurie. That's you guys for time to come.
Yeah, for now, that's it. I mean, eventually, I'm probably gonna start a goalie school here in Chicago, and.
You reckon there's a market for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most famous goalie from Chicago ever. So
yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. So, I'm technically the best goalie in Blackhawks history. So.
Yeah.
So I'll do that eventually. But right now, I just enjoy doing the comedy. So. And hanging out with you, Mike.
Oh, that's right. No, it's good to be. It's been a long time in the making. Mate, wanted to ask. So you get paid well. You got good people around you. What do guys that you know that you've played with, like, what do you all do with your money? Apart from the ones that piss it up the wall, don't have any more of it.
Usually piss it up the wall. But I came from humble beginnings and worked my way through the minors. I saved all my money. So
except for the Rolls Royce that you picked me up from in Raleigh Airport.
Pretty sweet though, eh?
The stars in the roof, that was nice.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I like that. I want that. That's the only thing I did that was like obnoxious. When you sign that contract, you got to do one thing.
Hang on. So you've got on the piss your whole like first year at the Hurricanes, and you're rocking up every day in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Worst goalie ever. Just
rolling up. They didn't play it.
Rolling up in a Rolls Royce every day.
How do those dynamics work then? So you've got I know I'm just using NFL terms. You got a GM, and with how cutthroat it is, like, do they talk to the players or do they not really have relationships with them because it makes it easier to trade, cut?
Right, and like Moneyball, I'm thinking like our GM and there didn't really talk to the Chicago at the time. Same moment he hung out. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, down in Carolina.
Because in the football circles, there's a big thing, they call it connection. They call it the connection piece at the minute. So they reckon the closer the team is in the organisation, from people in admin to the last player on the list, the closer we are, the better we're going to be, and like the better the club's going to be, and the environment at the football club. So I've just noticed through cruising around here and some experience into the Bears and stuff like that, that it's just so regimented because it's worth, people are worth millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They just need to be so drilled into what's going on.
But that's the thing about Chicago. That's why people want to play here. Like, you knew everyone in the organization, and like the coaches, Jim, even the staff, behind the scenes people, you know, like we were so tight, like during that dynasty era, and like that 2015 team, like they bought every single person in the organization a ring. Like, I knew everyone's name, everyone, like it was like the tightest team I've ever been like part, and that's why we fucking crushed it. Like, it's like we would just go to war for any guy on the team or for our coaches or anything. Like, I've never, like, all the teams I played for, I've never played for a team like that.
All 27 of them.
19. 19.
Mate, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for inviting us down into your man cave and having us here. I haven't been here before, even though you said I rocked up with my bags waiting to stay. But I appreciate it. All the best in your comedy career. And
all right,
come, so good work. Thanks, mate.